26 years ago, Stephen was told that Corey was not his son.
I knew there were some other men in the picture. I did not believe he was mine.
Recently, Corey contacted Stephen with a very different story.
I came across some old court documents that had his name on it.
Today on Trisha. Sitting with me is Stephen. Now, 26 years ago, Stephen met this young man, Corey, when he was just 1 day old. Now, Stephen was dating Corey's mother when she got pregnant, but she told Stephen he was not the father. Well, Stephen walked away, but he always remembered that newborn baby had the exact same pinky toe as he did. Now, just 37 days ago, Stephen received an email from Corey stating, "I think you're my father." Well, since that day, Stephen's life has been turned upside down with the possibility, the hope that Corey could be his only child. Listen to his story.
26 years ago, I dated a girl who had a child, and I did not believe he was mine. And I knew there were some other men in the picture, and I wasn't really sure. I have no children. I drank a lot for a long, long time, and I could barely take care of myself. I didn't have any desire to try and take care of someone else when I did such a poor job of taking care of my own self. The last time I saw Corey was when I went to the hospital when he was 1 day old. It's come to the point where I've been contacted by Corey, who thinks I may be his father. When I saw the email, I was shocked. I responded that I'd often wondered for over 20 years, could he actually be my biological son? Corey and I have never seen each other to this point, nor have we spoken to one another. I believe we both felt, without saying it in the email, that we would want that first conversation between us without the question lingering, is he my son? Is he my father? I absolutely want Corey to be my son. I've often wondered what it'd be like to have a child. And to gain a daughter-in-law and 3 grandchildren, absolutely, what a life-changing adventure that would be.
Now, Corey's backstage right now, and get this, Corey and Stephen both decided never to meet each other, even speak, because both were afraid of getting close and then getting disappointed. So today they're going to meet each other for the very first time. Stephen, when we showed that bit of tape with you talking about your feelings, we put up, there was a picture of Corey involved in that. Had you ever seen that picture before?
No.
Are you scared, nervous?
I'm excited. I think well, apparently I've missed out on raising a child. But
how did that come to be? Take me back to you met his mom?
Yeah, it all started at the drive-thru at a Dairy Queen.
Right.
I was going for a cheeseburger, and I ended up with a girlfriend. I thought she was cute, and
were you her only boyfriend?
Well, I asked her for a phone number and said, "Can I give you a call?" And this is 1988, Dallas, Texas, and she gave me her phone number, and I called, and we started seeing each other.
So when she told you she was pregnant, did you know all that at the time, or?
Honestly, I thought that after we dated for 6 or 8 months, and we started falling apart, and I was kind of like moving on. And when she told me that, I thought it was a lie.
You thought she was lying about being pregnant?
I thought it was like, I'm losing him, I don't want to, I'm going to tell him this, and he'll stay.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm not going for that. No.
Then her sister contacted you and said what?
We had broken up, and it had been probably 6 months after we broke up, and she said she had the baby, and it would mean the world to her if you would go and visit.
Did she say you were the dad, or just that she had the baby?
No, she said, I don't care whether you think he's your child or not. It would mean the world to Lisa if you would go to the hospital and visit.
So you held the baby?
I didn't stay long, and I said, "What a beautiful baby! Congratulations!" I hugged her and the baby, and but she didn't say anything or elaborate. You know it's your child or anything of that nature. And
did you notice anything about the child? Were you looking for some of your features in the baby?
He didn't have any little boots or shoes on, and I saw his feet, and there's a weird little quirk with the toes, and I thought, he's got my toes.
But you didn't ask, or you didn't?
No, I just thought, again, I was a drinker, a partier, and I thought, if I convince myself, then I can walk away without the guilt.
And she didn't come up and say, so you could let yourself off the hook?
She did not.
So did you forget about that little baby and just move on?
I've wondered because I've never told anybody about the toe thing. I've never told my mom, my dad, anyone in my entire life.
So when did they find out about this? That you might have a child out there? When did your family find out?
When my mother sent me a thing on Facebook saying, "Stephen, there's a Corey who asked me to be his friend on Facebook. That name sounds familiar. Perhaps you can enlighten me.
How long ago was this? Just recently?
2 weeks ago.
How did you feel when you saw that?
Well, I knew Corey and I, again, we haven't spoken, just through first emails, and he said, let me get your phone number. I don't want to talk to you. I think it'd be the weirdest thing that either one of us have done to this point in our lives, but it's easier to text. Went, okay. And he gets all excited, and he's posting things all over Facebook about, hey, I met this guy. I got to know this guy. It might be my real dad. And he sent a friend request to my brother because I accepted his friend request, and it's just has gone mini viral.
So that's good. What I wanted to ask you is, have you looked for him over the years?
I got in some trouble, and I was in jail in Dallas, Texas, a couple of months after he was born for almost a year. And when I got out, I thought, I'm going to look for, and I called a phone number that Lisa's his mother, and it was disconnected.
But what she told you, she gave you the old, Smith, Brown, Jones kind of thing?
Well, her name is Lisa.
A lot of them about.
And so I'd gone to, I tried the phone number, disconnected. Her parents' house, that number was disconnected. And I went down to the courthouse, and I thought, well, let's look at the birth records.
What did it say?
Stephen Scott as the father, around the time that he was born. Couldn't remember the exact date.
Yeah.
But I went back a couple of months around before the date, to the date, and a couple of months after the date. And I am not the father of anyone in Dallas, Texas, between those two parameters.
Now, have you gone on to have other children?
No, never.
If Corey is your son, that's your one and only child.
Yes.
So you haven't heard his voice?
Not yet.
You haven't met him? You haven't?
I've seen pictures, Facebook. He'd look at my Facebook, and I'd look at his.
Did you hold that little baby all that time?
Momentarily, yes.
And what was it like holding that little baby now, looking back?
I felt like a failure. I felt like, wouldn't it be nice to be responsible and know that this is my child and be comfortable in knowing that I could raise him? I just wanted to walk away because I knew better. I couldn't even take care of me. So
okay.
It was tough.
So let's take a break here.
Okay.
Let me get yourself together, because there are two things to do. Number one, actually meet this young man in person, lay eyes on him, which you've never ever done before, and then find out if that young man is your son.
Okay.
That's pretty scary, I know, so let's give you a couple of moments. Now, before we do that, you said you haven't heard his voice, so I wanted you to listen to this. This is the first time you're going to be hearing Corey's voice. You ready to hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
For over 26 years, I've always wondered who my real father was, so I'm here today to find out if Stephen is my real dad or not. When I was around 15 or 16, I used all the resources that I had to look for Steve, including the internet, phone books. I just ran into dead ends everywhere I went, so I just gave up. I was cleaning my house one day, going through a bunch of old paperwork, and I came across some old court documents that my grandmother gave me that had his name on it.
I've always tried to help my husband find his father. So when he found the court documents, I did a little research and eventually found him on Facebook. My husband reached out to Stephen, and when Stephen wrote him back, he was very emotional.
I got the email through my phone. After reading the first couple words, I just bursted into tears. I was like happy and excited at the same time that I finally found the guy that matches the description. I do want Stephen to be my real father. From what I know of him, we have a lot of the same characteristics. A unique feature that I have that all three of my kids have is our pinky toes actually curve outwards. When I had mentioned that to Stephen, he told me that his does the exact same thing.
This would definitely mean a lot to my husband. He never really had much of a relationship with his mother, and so to finally have his real father in his life would be a tremendous support and would finally give him some closure.
All right, well, when we come back, Stephen, you're going to see Corey for the very first time and find out if he's the little baby you held all those years ago.
Hey,
okay? We'll do
awesome.
that. All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll be back after this. Next, are you ready to find out if you are father and son? DNA today on Twitter. Welcome back. Now, I've been talking to Stephen about how many years ago you held that little baby in your arms.
Over 26 years ago.
Over 26 years ago, and the mother of that baby didn't tell you you were daddy, and you weren't ready to be daddy. Could have been another two guys as well.
Absolutely.
So this whole time you've been wondering, trying to find him, and then just a couple of weeks ago,
out of nowhere,
you get that contact from this guy who says you may be my dad.
Yeah.
Now, you've just heard Corey's voice for the very first time. You've never actually met him face to face. This is going to be the very first time you meet him, and then the next step is to have the DNA test and find out if you're father and son. This would be your only son.
Right.
So, are you ready to meet Corey?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Can't wait.
You can't wait?
Yes.
All right, so let's meet him. Please welcome Corey.
Look at you. Look at you.
We look alike.
We do. You have my
Smirk.
yeah. Wow.
Hi, Corey. Wow. Hi. Come over to the sofa. I can get you a tissue. Here, come have a seat. What were you told about your dad? Anything?
My mom had passed away when I was only 5.
Oh, God.
And
I'm so sorry.
so my grandparents raised me.
Right.
So as I got older and started realizing what life was, you know, kids are supposed to be raised by their parents. I was always questioning why is my grandparents raising me? And so I asked my grandparents. I was like, hey, where's my dad? You know, why isn't my dad raising me? Why am I living with y'all? And they said that your dad's not around. And I was like, okay, you know who he is?
Yeah.
And they said a guy named Steven. I said, okay, you got any other information? We just know his name, that's it.
Did you know there were another two guys who
I did. Apparently, at the time that I was born, my mom was legally married, but separated. And so she gave me that guy's last name. And that's, after talking with Steven a while back, he didn't know. So he could never find me because he didn't know my last name.
Did you even know that his mom had passed away?
Not till I spoke with him, or
Just
not
a couple
spoke
of
with him,
weeks.
but through an email. I asked him in an email, I said, well, how's your mom? How's she doing? Is she still around? He's like, no, she died when I was 5.
Is that doubly painful because you feel maybe you could have had a parent in your life?
Yeah.
How long have you been looking?
Well, after I talked to my grandparents, I pulled the phone book out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start looking for him, Steven. So I'm flipping through the phone book, calling every Steven in this area. Not one of them was him. Some years later, when I was around 15, 16, internet started getting more popular and stuff, and so...
What was it like sending that email? I think you may be my dad. What was that? Must have been scary.
Well, when my wife found him, or his Facebook, and I looked at it, and I noticed that his relatives were in Texas. I'm like,
Oh.
oh wow, okay, we may have gotten somewhere because now we're getting closer to home. And so I said, I'm going to really, really look into his Facebook here and see what I can find out. And so, you know, when I found
I
his...
have to say, I'm looking at the two of you. Do you think you look similar?
Yeah,
Did you feel abandoned at all? Or
I did.
You did? But having sent emails back and forth, now you know the bigger picture.
Right. And
I guess-
I don't feel that way no more. Like, I had a lot of anger built up thinking that, you know, my mom just got pregnant and then he left. But after finding out the truth on his part, when he did everything he could, it wasn't that. And so therefore, all the hate that I had towards him just disappeared. And then I was more happy.
Now, your faces, as I said, there could be some similarity, but it's this pinky toe thing that you saw when he was a little baby. Tell me about... So the pinky toe face is out, and you have the same. And I understand your children have that too.
Yes. all three of them.
So what would it mean for Stephen to be your dad? That's almost a dumb question. I'm sorry I have to ask.
I mean, it would mean a lot. Like, I could actually have some closure of, knowing who my real father was,
And then Stephen suddenly becomes a granddaddy, and the whole thing from having no children to having a whole family. So I guess this is the moment. Are you ready to find out if you are father and son? What happens if you're not? I don't know what the results are. Can I ask what happens if you're not?
I mean, I'll be sad because I still won't know. And I just want to know whether it's him or not. I just want to know. And from talking with him, I mean, all the similarities that we have, I want him to be. He can have his only son that he has. If not, then it sucks for you.
Let's find out. Let's find out. Okay. Who wants to
One shoot, would you mind?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I knew you looked damned alike. There's a young lady you might like to meet. Would you like to do the honors?
This is my love, Laura. Your father-in-law.
It's a boy.
And the children are backstage, so somewhere private and quiet. If you want to meet the rest of the family.
Grandkids.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 55.
You're an old codger now. Yeah. Wow.
It doesn't suck for him.
No, it doesn't. Do you know I've opened a lot of envelopes and done a lot of DNA tests, and I've got to say this so far this has been the most meaningful one. It's been a privilege meeting two such beautiful people. I mean that.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You can frame that. Have it, frame it. For more information about DNA paternity testing, call 1-800-798-5955. Looking for some excitement in your life? Well, I've got a ticket just for you. Come see The Trisha Show live in Stamford, Connecticut. For free tickets, call 203-905-6555 or go to thetrisha.show.com. A drama. He has never been there for me. Today on Trisha. Welcome back. Now, what do you think happened to our guests from today's show after the DNA results were revealed and they went home? Well, as always, we waited right up until this episode would air to get you the most accurate information. So here is today's Trisha Air Date update. From Corey and Stephen say their bond has grown strong very quickly. Both say they can't wait to start visiting each other for holidays and family reunions, just like they've always dreamed of doing. We'll be right back. DNA drama. He has never been there for me. Today on Trisha. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I want to thank our studio audience. They've been great. So take care. I'll see you again soon.